Hello again, guys. Nice to see you all. I hope these videos are useful to you in some way to just help your GCSE revision right through to the end, because I'm sure some of you are watching this in May 2025, 9 months or so from now, and I'm hoping these are a little bit useful to you. At the very least, you don't get confused. So you may have questions. Of course, put them in the comments, but ultimately it should be fairly straightforward. It's nothing that's new to you. So this video is on what should I be revising? What are the exams on? Just some clarification in case you're unsure. Okay, because in some mock exams we mix and mangle different topics. So just what do I expect in the geography exams? Because you will sit 3 papers. Okay, you'll sit 1 exam, paper 1. You'll sit 1 exam, paper 2. And you'll sit 1 exam, paper 3, usually in that order. Okay, so paper 1 is physical geography. They're in all the classrooms in geography in Arc Academy. So 201, 202, 203 and 223, they have this on there. So your first exam, paper 1, is physical geography. Okay, so that includes natural hazards. That includes your earthquake case studies. That includes tropical storms. Then it's climate change as part of that same first topic. So section 1 will look at not only earthquakes and stuff, but also climate change, natural climate change versus human caused climate change, and the different methods of looking at that, dealing with that, mitigating, adapting to it. Then the section B in the same exam, so section B, you'll also have a 6 marker and 9 marker for living world. Now this is where you bring in your knowledge of the Thar Desert and the Amazon rainforest. Okay, so that is where you'll look at the animals and plant adaptations in both, sustainability in both, and maybe look at the different case studies. Your 9 marker will most likely be on one of these biomes. The Thar Desert, which remember is in Pakistan and India, and the Amazon rainforest. Okay, in the same exam, we're still there. This is where you'll do rivers and coasts. So you guys learned about rivers with me. Okay, so we've learnt about rivers and river processes, erosion, deposition, mass movement, those kind of things, transportation. So you look at those and coasts. That's the same section C in paper 1. So this is all exam 1. So rivers, coasts, you'll have a case study for each. So your case study for rivers will be Banbury, and you'll also get a case study for coasts when you study that in year 11 too. You may already have studied it when you're watching this video. That's paper 1. Paper 2 is human geography. Okay, now this we have started in year 10, so I've taught you the first module, but there's 2 different modules that you haven't done yet. Certainly at the time I'm recording this video. So in paper 2, the second exam, that's where you have urban issues and challenges. Everything to do with the good and bad in Rio, and everything to do with the good and bad in London. Remember, the more you know these case studies, the better. Key words like gentrification, urbanization, dereliction, they always come up. Regeneration. Make sure you know about each different city. Rio and London. If the question asks you for a HIC, that is not London, because that is not a HIC. It's not a high income country, it's a city. So your countries are the UK, your city is London, and Brazil, your city is Rio. Okay, so make sure you're reading the question carefully, because if you write about the wrong one, then you can't get any marks for it. Now in year 11, you will study the changing economic world and the challenge of resource management. That's to do with energy, to do with food, to do with water, that kind of thing. And then resources, you'll have case studies for them. You need to know those too. Okay, Nigeria most likely will be the case study for that one. Now in the second exam, paper 2, it's all about human geography. You need to answer, and listen, someone always makes a mistake here. Okay, in every year I've ever taught this, in every school I've ever taught this, someone always does it wrong. In paper 1, you answer all the questions. Okay, in paper 2, there are 6 different sections. Question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, question 5, and question 6. You guys need to answer question 1, definitely, always. Question 2, definitely, always. Question 3, definitely, always. and question 6. So questions 4 and 5 you may leave blank. You don't get any extra marks for answering those questions. You only have to answer one of question 4, 5 and 6, and the one you will be taught about is 6. So question 1, 2, 3 and 6 are the ones you should be answering in this exam. Trust me, that is so important, because if you get that wrong, then you're missing out marks on a whole section, and that happened to multiple people in the year 11 before you. Okay, that's your second exam. Slightly complicated, but I'm hoping after listening to this you'll understand it. And the last thing, paper 3. Now in April 2025, the last after Easter normally, you will get a resource booklet. Now that booklet could be on anything. It changes every single year. Okay, now the first part of that exam, 37 marks out of the 78, so nearly half, is on that booklet. Now you will have about 6 or 7 lessons in class on that booklet. You get your own copy in lesson where you'll make notes, annotate stuff on it, make sure you fully understand it. Treat it like a script for an actor. You should memorize as much as you can of that. Okay, now you don't get to take that in with you, but in the real exam you get that same booklet but a blank copy. So you'll do better in the exam the more you know of that booklet. Okay, that's half of it. The other half of paper 3 is your fieldwork section. So you'll be asked questions on familiar and unfamiliar fieldwork. What does that mean? Well, unfamiliar fieldwork is, for example, Jenny measures 6 rocks, what could she do better? Or this school did this, where did they go wrong? Or what is the median that school C worked out versus school B? Basically, it's working out stuff with a calculator. It's working out stuff, saying whether it was good or bad from what someone else did. They made it up. This is not a real school they're using the exam. Okay, school A did this, school B did this, which was better, which was worse, look at what they did. That comes from understanding your field work. And also in the exam, you will be asked about familiar field work. Familiar to you because you've done it. Now, when I'm recording this, I remember we went to Epping Forest together. So Epping Forest is your physical fieldwork trip, where we looked at the rivers. We measured sediment size and shape, river depth, river width to work out the discharge. You need to know the aim of your investigation, and you need to know the hypothesis. The aim of your investigation in Epping Forest was to see how the river characteristics changed. Your hypothesis was discharge will increase, sediment size will decrease. Okay, so you looked whether to prove those things true or false, and we found out they were both true. Using secondary data and primary data, for example, all those skills that we went through do come up. They are very useful for both familiar and unfamiliar sections. And then basically that's it. So definitely make sure you got the right case studies for each paper. Definitely have a calculator for the ones you're allowed a calculator for, which I believe is all of them. So you need a calculator. There's always a question on maths somewhere. And ultimately, hopefully, you can understand what is expected of you in each exam now. Paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 are all different. You get an hour and a half for each of them, which is about using the most of your time in there. Obviously, in paper 1, knowing your case studies is really important. Paper 2, knowing to answer question 1, 2, 3, and 6 only is really important. And for paper 3, it's knowing your field work inside and out, and it's knowing what to do in terms of the booklet and knowing the booklet. Now, last thing on paper 3, your human trip, so your second trip, you haven't actually gone on yet at the time I'm recording this video, but you will do very soon in year 11. That is where you'll go to Canary Wharf and you'll look at how it has regenerated over time. So it's looking at the changes Canary Wharf has gone through, evaluating them, whether it was successful or not. That's the aim, to see how successful the regeneration in Canary Wharf was. And it's about knowing what you did there. I won't spoil it for you, just in case you haven't gone on the trip just yet, but it's about knowing what you did there and why you did it ultimately. The same for Epping Forest. Why we went there, why we did it, why we chose that site. Being able to justify it is really good, and being able to show your limitations is really important too. Don't be afraid to criticize yourself. There might be a question asking what were the limitations of your field work. That's not a bad thing. Okay, it's really important that you know them, because it won't be perfect. You'll have one school day. You could have gone every day for a year. You could have gone on multiple times across the month. You could have gone to more sites more often. So that's not a bad thing. Limitations is a really, really key part of field work. Okay, so that's paper 1, paper 2, paper 3. You'll sit them with a gap in between each one in May and June of 2025. So keep your head up. Any questions, again, put them in the comments. But keep working well for now. I'm proud of you all. See you soon.